Let me ask you something simple, but powerful. When does your week really begin? Is it that groggy Monday morning when your alarm screams at you? Or is it actually Sunday night when the world slows down? You pick up a pen, find a quiet corner, and start planning with intention. Most people stumble into their week. It just happens to them. They react, respond, and hope it all works out. But the ones who achieve great things, they don't leave it to chance. They begin with purpose. They know before the sun rises on Monday exactly what needs to be done. Here's the truth, and it might hit home. If you don't take control of your week, it will take control of you and life. It has a sneaky way of filling up your schedule with everyone else's priorities, unless you claim that space first. Planning your week isn't just some productivity hack. It's a mindset, a declaration. It's you standing up and saying, I refuse to drift through another 7 days without direction. Because let's face it, your dreams are too valuable to leave to chance, your goals too important to leave to memory, and your time, well, it's limited. So why not treat it like gold? Stick with me, because over the next few minutes, I'm going to break down why planning your week is one of the most powerful habits you can ever build. And here's the best part. Once you lock this in, you won't just do more, you'll become more. Let me start with something bold, something I want you to really let sink in. Time is more valuable than money. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But it's true. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. Time is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter if you're wealthy or struggling, educated or not. Living in a mansion or a studio apartment, we all get the same 24 hours a day. That's the deal. The real question is, what are you doing with yours? When you spend money, you can often earn it back. But when you spend time, it's gone. Gone for good. That's why if you don't learn to respect it, protect it, and use it well, you'll look back and wonder where it all went, realizing you were busy, but not intentional. So here's a simple but life-changing formula. Don't just spend your time, invest it. What does that look like? It's choosing actions today that bring value tomorrow. Hitting the gym, that's an investment in your body. Reading a great book, that's a deposit into your mind. Sitting down on a Sunday evening to map out your week, that's an investment in your focus, your calm, your results. And trust me, those small choices, they compound day by day, week by week. Until one day you look back and think, I'm so glad I was intentional. I'm so glad I made that choice. But let's not sugarcoat it. The opposite is true too. Waste enough time scrolling, snoozing, and avoiding the hard decisions. And 5 years from now, you could be staring at the same goals, the same dreams, and the same regrets, the cost, time, and you never get that back. Here's something worth writing down. Your calendar is a reflection of your values. Want to know what someone truly cares about? Don't ask them. Look at how they spend their time. If you say family matters but haven't shared a meal together in weeks, something's off. If you say personal growth is a priority but never carve out time to read, reflect, or plan, there's a disconnect. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with intention. Because when you sit down to plan your week, you're not just filling time blocks. You're putting value on your life. You're declaring these hours count. This life matters, and what I do this week, it makes a difference. Here's the hard truth. Most people don't run out of time because they're too busy. They run out of time because they never planned it in the first place. They wake up Monday with the best of intentions, and by Friday, they're scratching their heads, wondering, where did the week go? Sound familiar? Let me challenge you with this. Don't let your week be a mystery. Make it a masterpiece. Think about that for a second. A masterpiece isn't created by accident, it's intentional. So instead of hoping for a productive week, craft it. Plan your calls, schedule those workouts, block out time to think, to read, to rest, and to grow. Write down your goals, not just in your head, but with pen on paper. Outline the steps that will bring them to life. Guard your mornings fiercely. Take charge of your evenings. And whatever you do, don't hand over your best hours to your worst distractions. Why does this matter so much? Because every week that slips by wasted is a piece of your life you'll never get back. And the truth is, no one ever sets out to waste time. They just don't plan not to. So what's the solution? You've got to become a wise steward of your time. Respect it, protect it. Use it the same way a millionaire manages their investments, with precision, discipline, and purpose. Because once you start treating your hours like they're worth gold, life will begin to reward you in ways you never imagined. Let me leave you with this powerful truth. You are the CEO of your own 168-hour week. That's what you get, not a minute more, not a second less. And how you manage those 168 hours, that's what will shape your future, your peace, your progress. Your success, all of it, is tucked inside your calendar. So go ahead, take out that planner, grab your favorite pen, and make a decision right now to use your time like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Here's something to keep in mind. Every week already has a plan. The real question is it your plan or someone else's? If you don't sit down and take the lead, if you don't set the tone and define the mission, life will step in and do it for you. And life's default plan, it's chaos, pure noise. We live in a world that's constantly calling for our attention. Notifications, texts, emails, never-ending todos. Your phone wants your mornings. Your inbox wants your focus. The world wants your attention. And if you're not careful, you'll give it all away without even noticing. Let me be honest, and this might sting a little. If your week constantly feels out of control, it's probably because no one is truly in the driver's seat. And friend, you were never meant to be a passenger in your own life. You were meant to grab the wheel. Here's a rule I live by. Never start the week until it's finished on paper. That means before Monday ever shows up, I already know what matters most. My calendar isn't a guessing game. My priorities aren't up for debate. My time is already spoken for because I made it that way. Most people begin their week with vague hopes. I hope I find time for the gym. I hope I get to work on that project. I hope I can finally catch up. But here's the truth. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is beautiful, yes, but it needs a plan to stand on. Because without a plan, the urgent will always beat the important. The little fires will consume your big goals. The calendar will fill up, but not with what matters and your dreams. They get postponed to someday. So, what's the missing piece? One word: intentionality. That's the secret sauce. Because talent alone won't help you win the week. Being intentional will. It's the people who decide in advance how they want to live. Those are the ones who make real progress. Imagine building a house without a blueprint. Would you do that? Of course not. You wouldn't. Leave it up to chance, to the weather, to the workers, or to luck. You'd measure, draw, plan, and build with clarity and purpose. Well, guess what? Your week is your house. If you don't build it intentionally, it will collapse under the weight of everything that doesn't matter. So here's a challenge, and I want you to take it seriously. Don't run the week like a follower. Run it like a leader. Leaders don't wait. They don't react. They anticipate. They plan. When you lead your week, you set your priorities instead of letting them be set for you. You block time for what matters. You say yes to growth and no to guilt. You move from merely surviving to actually strategizing. Because let's face it, life isn't going to slow down. There's no pause button. You'll never find the time. You've got to make it. And that happens when you sit down, calm, focused, intentional, and run the week before it has the chance to run you. Here's one simple truth that has guided me for years. Don't leave your life to momentum. Give it direction. And where does that direction begin? This clearly, you either manage the week or the week manages you. You either lead your life or you follow someone else's priorities. You either create the plan or become part of somebody else's. The choice, it's always yours. So I say, choose to lead. Choose to plan. Choose to take back control. Before the week steals away your time, your energy, and your life. Because here's the reality. Goals live or die in the weekly. Plan, let's talk about those goals for a moment. The big dreams. The bold ambitions. The things you whisper in a journal or shout out loud every New Year's Eve now. After decades of observing people chase success, I've learned something important. It's not the goal that shapes your future. It's the plan you create to reach it week by week. Anyone can write down a goal. I want to get fit. I want to write a book. A plan are just wishes. And wishes don't get rewarded. Plans do too often. People make the mistake of setting goals once a year, usually in January, and then they cross their fingers. Goals have to do with this week. Because if it's not in this week's plan, it's not real. It's just collecting dust on the shelf of someday. Here's what I deeply believe. Your dreams must be translated into your weekly routine. or they'll never see the light of day. Let me show you what I mean. Say your goal is, I want to lose 20 pounds. That's great, but now tell me, what day are you working out this week? What time? What are you eating on Thursday? And what's your plan for when those late-night cravings kick in on Saturday? Until then, it's just a nice idea floating around in your mind, struggling to survive the chaos of daily life. Here's the truth. Plan, that's the how. You want to grow your business. Then it looks like sales calls on Monday, follow-ups on Wednesday. It means setting time blocks, assigning specific tasks. It means no more guessing, just doing. Without a weekly plan, your goals stay blurry. They start to feel heavy, even haunting. But with a clear plan, your mornings have direction. Your effort has purpose. You measure your wins. You build momentum. And let me tell you, momentum is magical. You don't have to do it all today. Stacking progress. You build belief. And slowly but surely, the person who once hoped for change becomes the person who actually lives it. Now let me give you something simple, practical, actionable. It's what I call the Goal 2-Week Transfer. On Sunday night, take 5 minutes, just 5. Look at your top 3 goals. Then ask yourself one question. What is one specific action I can take this week to move closer? Then, and this part is crucial, put it in your calendar, not on your to-do list, your calendar. Because if it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. Don't overdo it either. Don't try to tackle 10 things. Pick 1 or 2 actions that actually move the needle. Do them well. And when you finish, celebrate that progress. Because here's a truth worth repeating. Success doesn't come from doing everything consistently now with your goals finally woven into your weekly rhythm. Let's talk about the secret ingredient that makes this system truly unstoppable. Your energy? Because productivity is nothing without the power to show up fully, So, now you know. Your weekly plan is where big dreams become real actions. But here's the missing piece most people never talk about. It's not intensity that gets you. There, it's consistency. Success doesn't come from occasional bursts of motivation. It comes from showing up week after week, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one's watching. And that's exactly what weekly planning empowers you to do, to stay consistent. I've met so many people who've carried the same goal in their hearts for 5 years. They talk about it often. They think about it even more. But it never makes it onto paper. It never becomes a weekly priority. And when I gently ask why, they often say they're waiting for the right time, and I tell them this with kindness, but also with honesty. Your goal didn't fail you. You just never gave it a chance to live. Because goals don't survive in the clouds. They don't grow from vision boards or pep talks. They only thrive in the dirt, in the daily decisions, in the grind of action, in the choice to show up even when it's inconvenient. So here's my challenge for you. This week, don't just hope, plan. Don't just dream, schedule. And please don't wait for the perfect week, because that week doesn't exist. Use this one, this ordinary, messy, imperfect week you're in right now, because this is the soil. To my core, your goals don't need more motivation. They need a map, and that map, it starts with your weekly plan. Planning creates clarity, and clarity fuels confidence. So let's talk about this idea that can completely transform your week. Clarity is power, and planning is how you get it. Now here's the thing. Most people don't fall short because they lack talent or ambition. No, what they really lack is clarity. They wake up with fog in their minds. They start the week unsure, overwhelmed, pulled in 10 different directions. They don't know what matters most, so everything feels urgent. And when everything feels urgent, nothing gets done well. Sound familiar? But here's the truth that flips everything. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from planning better. You don't need to sit around waiting for inspiration to hit you like lightning. What you do need is to sit down, breathe deeply, and put your plan on paper. Even a simple written plan, nothing fancy, has the power to clear that mental fog. It tells you, this is what I'm doing. This is when I'm doing it. This is why it matters. Suddenly, you're no longer guessing. You're no longer drifting. You've gone from stress to structure. And structure builds confidence. Because real confidence doesn't come from hype. It doesn't come from loud music or pumped up quotes. It comes from knowing exactly where you're going and what to do next. Let me paint you a picture. Two people walk into Monday morning. One has a written plan. They've blocked their time. They know their top 3 priorities. They've carved out space to work, to rest, to focus. The other, they've got a vague idea, a mental to-do list, and a calendar full of white space and wishful thinking. Now, you tell me which one starts the day with confidence, which one handles distractions better, which one is calm when pressure hits. It's not even close. When you've got clarity, the world doesn't feel so chaotic. Your day feels less overwhelming, and your mind, it becomes your ally, not your enemy. But here's the catch. Clarity never shows up uninvited. You've got to create it. You've got to chase it. And the way you do that is through planning. That's why I always say, don't carry your goals in your head. Put them on paper where they can go to work. Don't trust your memory. Trust your calendar. Don't try to juggle everything. Structure. Everything. Now let me say something important. Something that often gets misunderstood. Planning doesn't mean being rigid. It means being ready. It's not about mapping out every second of your day. It's about knowing what matters before the noise begins. Because if you wait until the world wakes up, until the inbox fills up, the texts roll in, and the fires start popping up, it's too late. By then, the chaos has already begun writing your story for you. But if you just take 30 minutes, even just once a week, to pause, to think, and to ask, ... In the last part, we discovered a powerful truth. Clarity fuels confidence, and it begins with a simple question every week. What really matters right now? That one question, asked with intention, changes everything. What matters this week? What am I actually building? Where does my energy need to go? Suddenly, you're not just spinning in circles, you're back in charge. And when you're in charge, you stand taller. You move with purpose. You speak with direction. Because clarity doesn't just organize your time, it strengthens your confidence. And confidence, my friend, is what moves things forward. Let me leave you with a final truth that's worth sitting with. Some people don't plan because they don't feel confident. They say things like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, I'll wait until I feel ready. But that thinking is backwards. You don't wait for confidence to begin planning. You plan, and confidence begins to show up. So, start small, 5 minutes, maybe 10. Write out your day, sketch out the week, block off a few key hours. Pick your top 3 priorities, just the big rocks. Even a rough draft of a plan is better than none. And when you finally see it in front of you clear, on paper, you'll feel it. That quiet strength rising inside you. That inner voice whispering, I've got this. Because now, you're not reacting to the chaos of life, you're directing it. So I say to you, don't stumble blindly into another week. Walk into it with clarity. Build your confidence, one plan at a time. And when the world around you is caught in confusion, you'll be moving forward, strong, focused, unshaken. Why? Because you took the time to plan. And planning, my friend, is how you lead your life before life starts trying to lead you. Weekly planning doesn't just reveal your priorities, it protects them. Let's talk about priorities. Here's a truth I want you to hold on to tightly. Everything in life might feel important, but not everything is. That's the trap. That's what steals your time. That's what keeps you busy, but not productive. You see, the real danger isn't spending time on the wrong things. It's spending time on the second right things over and over, until the first right things quietly disappear from your life. That's why weekly planning isn't just about organizing your to-dos. It's about organizing your values. It's not just about what gets put on your calendar. It's about what gets protected. Because when you plan your week with intention, you're not just asking, what do I have to do? You're asking, what matters most? That's when you stop living in reaction mode and you start living by design. Let me share a simple idea that changed the way I live. If it's not scheduled, it's not real. You say your health is a priority. That's great. So tell me, when are you working out this week? You say your family matters. Wonderful. Show me the next dinner, the next outing, the next moment, with no phone in your hand. You say your goal is important? I love that. Now, where's the time block for it? Where's the focused hour in your week? The truth is, the problem isn't that we don't care. It's that we don't plan like we care. And here's the cost of that. What isn't protected will always get replaced. Replaced by distractions. by false urgency, by other people's agendas. And believe me, the world has plenty of plans for your time if you don't have your own. So what do? We plan the week with priority in mind. That means before the week begins, you sit down and ask, what's most important to me right now? Not next month, not someday. This week, then you make space for it. You block the time, you close the door. You silence the phone. And you treat that time like it's a meeting with your future, because it is. Planning not only shows you your priorities, it protects them. Once it's written down, once it's in your calendar, it becomes visible. And when something is visible, you can fight for it. Now you're no longer making decisions based on how you feel. You're making decisions based on what you already decided matters. That's discipline. That's maturity. That's the habit that separates the successful from the scattered. Let me remind you, every yes you give has a cost. And the most successful people in the world, they're not afraid to say no because they've already said yes to something greater. That's what planning gives you. Structure, stability, a schedule with teeth, a calendar with a backbone. You stop getting pushed around by interruptions. You stop drowning in the chaos. You stop being swept away by everything that doesn't matter. You lead the week because your priorities are already on the board. So now that your values are clearly scheduled and protected, here's the next question to ask yourself. Do your actions truly reflect what matters to you? Or are they just reactions to what screams the loudest? It's not always easy to face that question, but it's the one that sets you free. Because the moment you start scheduling your values, not just your tasks, that's the moment everything in your life begins to shift. Here's what I recommend. Something simple, but powerful. Each Sunday night, take a few quiet minutes to reflect. Review your goals, write down your top 3 priorities for the week. Then, and this part is crucial, block time for them. Don't just toss them onto a to-do list and hope you get to them. Give them an actual time slot on your calendar. Treat that time like it's sacred, because in a way, it is. And when life inevitably tries to take that time from you, fight for it, defend it, own it. Because those calendar blocks aren't just time. They're the building blocks of your future. Let me leave you with this thought. Your priorities won't happen by accident, they happen by appointment. And every time you sit down and plan your week, you're not just organizing your schedule. You're making appointments with the version of your life that you actually want to live. So I say, be bold, be clear, and plan like your future depends on it. Because in more ways than you realize, it does. Now let's take that even further. Here's a new mindset I want you to carry into every new week. Your week is not just a schedule, it's a laboratory. It's not just a calendar of deadlines and routines. It's your personal test kitchen, your workshop, your playground for growth. Because success doesn't show up all at once. It shows up through trial and error, through experiments, evaluations, and adjustments. And the best place to do that, right inside the rhythm of your week. Let me give you some freedom here, something that might lift a weight off your shoulders. Your plan doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be alive. You don't have to get it all right. But you do have to keep showing up. Keep trying. Keep learning. That's the beauty of a well-planned week. It gives you feedback, and feedback is the foundation of progress. Try a new morning routine. By Friday, you'll know if it's fueling your day or draining it. Start blocking time for deep work. By midweek, you'll feel the difference or the resistance. Add more time for rest, reading, or movement. You'll quickly see whether you're more energized or still overwhelmed. But here's the key. None of that happens unless you plan it, unless you track it, unless you treat your week like a living, breathing tool for progress, not just a checklist to survive. Here's what I teach my clients and teams. Every week is a test. Every result is a teacher. And every plan, it's just a draft. So don't be afraid to edit. You don't have to marry your plan. You just have to stay committed to the process of refining it. And every time you make a small shift, wake up 30 minutes earlier, cut down screen time, prep meals in advance, limit meetings, switch gym days. You're not just organizing your time, you're learning something valuable about yourself. That awareness makes you better, smarter, stronger. That's what high performers do. They don't bulldoze through the week. They pause, they reflect, they ask what worked, what didn't. Let me tell you something most people don't realize. Winners reflect, and weekly planning gives them a consistent space to do exactly that. Because the goal of planning isn't rigid control. it's clarity. It's about building a framework that's structured enough to keep you focused, but flexible enough to let you grow. Think of it like this. Your week is your field of play. It's where you call the plays, run the drills, and review the game film. It's where you track how your habits are forming, how your energy is flowing, and how your progress is stacking. You try, you observe, you tweak, then you try again, just a little better this time. And here's something important to remember: don't judge the week, study it. Most people either ignore how their week went or beat themselves up over it. But neither one helps. You know what does help? Learning. You missed your workouts. Why? Too tired, not enough sleep, no time blocked, didn't make progress on that project. Was it because of distractions? Unclear goals? No focus time? That's the gold, that's the insight that turns frustration into forward motion. Because here's the truth. Success doesn't belong to the person who never stumbles. It belongs to the person who learns faster, who adjusts with purpose, who treats the week like a living tool, not a rigid routine. Let me share something simple, yet incredibly powerful with you. The Friday 5 minutes. 5 questions. Every Friday, take just 5 minutes and ask yourself: 1. What worked well this week? 2. What didn't go as planned? 3. What drained my energy but moved me forward? 5. What will I do differently next week? That's it, just 5 questions in 5 minutes. But over time, those little reflections lead to big breakthroughs. You adjust your morning routine. You eliminate distractions. You discover a better rhythm. You say no more often. You protect your energy. You get sharper, stronger, and more aligned with your values. And one day, you'll look back and say, I didn't just survive my weeks, I mastered them because you tested, you tweaked, and most importantly, you trusted the process. So here's the truth. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need one you're willing to improve. Every week is your chance to do exactly that. So treat it like a lab. Run the experiment, study the results, and come back next week just 1% better. Because that, my friend, is how greatness is built. Now let's talk about discipline, the muscle that gets stronger every time you plan your week. Discipline isn't flashy, but it's foundational. And just like a muscle, it grows when you train it. One of the best workouts for discipline: weekly planning. Because success doesn't begin with motivation, it begins with responsibility. Not responsibility for the whole year, not even the whole month, but for the 7 days right in front of you. Every time you sit down, open your planner, and schedule your intentions. You're not just organizing your week, you're training your discipline. Here's something important. Planning is the first step toward follow-through. When you write it down, when you block the time, when you say, this gets done, you're taking control of your life. And control, that's the seed of confidence. Most people wait until they feel like it. They say, I'll see how the week goes. I'll try to make time. I'll start when things settle down. But let's be honest, life doesn't settle. It doesn't slow down just because you ask it to. You've got to build the habit of showing up on schedule. Here's the secret. Discipline doesn't start with doing. It starts with deciding. And planning is deciding in advance. When you create your weekly plan, you're saying, this is what matters. This is what I'm committed to. This is who I'm becoming. It's not about motivation. It's about mindset. It's about showing your future self that you mean business. Let me paint a picture for you. Every time you plan your week, you're placing a brick in the wall, not a random brick, not a rushed or careless one, but a solid, intentional, well-placed brick in the foundation of your life. That's how confidence gets built. That's how character takes shape. That's how dreams stop being dreams and start becoming reality. Now, don't get me wrong. Planning your week doesn't guarantee perfection. You'll still miss a few things. Plans will shift. Life will throw you curveballs. But here's what will change. You'll begin to trust yourself. And that's where real discipline comes from. Self-trust. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones like waking up at 6 o'clock a.m. to go to the gym, reading for 20 minutes, turning off your phone after 8 p.m., you build internal credibility. And that's the engine of true discipline. Most people have trained themselves to abandon themselves. They say they'll do something and don't. They plan, then ignore it. They dream, but never follow through. And every time that happens, their discipline weakens. Their confidence fades. Their sense of control disappears. But not you. Not anymore, because when you sit down to plan your week, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect, you are training your discipline muscle, and you're telling your life, I won't drift. I will direct. Let me share a rule. I live by one that's changed everything for me. Discipline is doing what you said you'd do, long after the mood you set it in has left you. Think about that. Anyone can be excited on Sunday night. Anyone can make plans when motivation is high. But what happens on Wednesday morning when you're tired, distracted, or overwhelmed? That's when the real test begins. And the way to pass that test, write it down, block it in, protect it. Then show up, because every time you follow through, even when it's hard, that discipline muscle gets just a little stronger. Now here's the beautiful truth. You don't have to be extreme. You just have to be consistent. A little structure, a little repetition, a little follow-through week by week, and suddenly, you're no longer trying to be disciplined. You're becoming a disciplined person. So here's the challenge I want you to carry with you. Don't treat weekly planning as optional, treat it as training. And every Sunday night, when you sit down to map out your week, don't just ask, what do I need to get done? Instead, ask yourself, who am I becoming as I do this? Because when you treat planning as an intentional act of becoming, not just managing time, that's when everything shifts. That's when you stop reacting to life and start leading it. Let me leave you with this powerful reminder. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And your weekly plan, that's your system for self-discipline. So pick up that pen, open your planner, and start building 1 week at a time. Because that's how champions are made. Here's one of the simplest, most powerful achievement formulas I've ever come across. Win the week and you win the month. Win the month and you win the year. Win the year and you win your life. That's how it works. Success doesn't come in giant leaps. It's not about big dramatic moves. It's built on small, consistent victories stacked one on top of another. And the most powerful unit of progress. Not a decade, not a year. The week. 7 days. That's your building block. So let me ask you this. What if for the next 4 weeks, you stopped trying to do everything and just focused on winning each week? What would happen? You'd build momentum. You'd gain clarity. You'd feel back in control, because 1 week is long enough to make real progress, but still short enough to stay focused, locked in, and purposeful. And here's what I've seen again and again. Most people overestimate what they can do in a single day, but they wildly underestimate what they can accomplish in a well-planned week. Because when you plan your week, you set the rhythm, you choose the pace, you decide what gets your energy and what DOESN single quotes. And when you finish that week strong, when you hit your top priorities, keep your promises, and follow through with consistency, you build belief, and that belief carries into the next week and the next. Soon, you're not just surviving, you're stacking wins. That's the secret. Success loves rhythm, and rhythm starts with weekly execution. So let's make this practical. Let's simplify it. If you want to win the month, here's what to do. Every Sunday night, sit down with one simple goal. Plan a week you can actually win. Not a fantasy week. Not a maybe I'll find time week. A real, focused, purposeful week. Ask yourself, what are my top 3 priorities? What absolutely needs to move forward? What distractions do I need to say no to? What habits must I repeat this week? Then write it down, schedule it, commit to it. Because if you don't plan to win the week, the world will plan to waste it. Distractions are everywhere. Notifications, emails, requests. And if you don't set the tone, life will. But when you plan, when you lead your week with intention, that's when the results start stacking. 1 week of clean eating, your body changes. 1 week of waking up early, your mindset shifts. 1 week of working on your dream, you feel alive again. And here's the most important part. You don't need perfection. You just need consistency. Let me say that again. You don't need perfect weeks to win the month, just intentional ones. Weeks where you showed up, weeks where you followed through, weeks where you learned, adjusted, and got just a little better. That's how success becomes sustainable. That's how transformation becomes your new normal. You don't need a miracle in 30 days. You need a plan for 7. Then repeat, because when you win the week, something inside you starts to shift. You begin to see yourself not as someone just trying, but as someone transforming. Not as someone who merely hopes, but someone who follows through. And when you feel that shift, the rest of the month starts to take care of itself. Your goals feel closer. The overwhelm fades, and results, they start showing up faster than you thought possible. So here's what I want to say. Don't chase the month, master the week. Do it with purpose. Do it with structure. And watch how quickly your life begins to evolve. Because if you can win this week, you can win the next one, and the one after that. Soon you're no longer just living the life you once dreamed of. You're living the life you've earned. Now let's talk about something that most people overlook. Planning doesn't just boost productivity, it protects your energy and prevents burnout. Let me tell you a truth that many miss. You don't burn out because you're doing too much. You burn out because you're doing too much of the wrong things, or doing everything without a plan. Burnout doesn't come from hard work alone. It comes from chaos, from being pulled in every direction, from juggling endless tasks with no priority, from running all day and still asking yourself, what did I even accomplish today? That's the silent killer, not work, but disorder. And if your week always feels chaotic, reactive, and unstructured, then you're not just losing time, you're draining your energy, and energy well. Energy is everything. Here's the good news. Planning is your antidote to burnout. It's your energy shield. When you plan your week with intention, you're doing something powerful. You're deciding ahead of time where your energy will go. And just as importantly, where it won't. You build in focus. You build in rest. You build in rhythm, and rhythm brings relief. You don't wake up panicking. You wake up knowing you don't carry everything in your head. You carry it in your plan. Now, listen closely. Your body was not built for constant urgency. Your mind was not designed for nonstop noise. If you don't create margin, if you don't set boundaries, if you don't make space for recovery, then life will wear you out long before purpose wears in. That's why I say planning isn't just for productivity, it's for preservation. It's how you protect the best parts of who you are, your creativity, your clarity, your spirit. Because when your calendar is packed with only shoulds and none of the musts or the rest, your soul starts to rebel. You wake up tired, you go to bed restless. You stop enjoying the things that used to light you up. That's not laziness, that's a system out of alignment. But when you take time at the start of the week to design it wisely, everything changes. You say, this time is for work, this time is for me, this time is for family, this time is for recovery. And suddenly, peace returns, focus returns, energy returns. Now, let's be clear. Planning your week isn't about cramming every minute. It's about giving each part of your life the space it deserves. You don't just plan tasks, you plan rest. You don't just block time for hustle, you block time for healing. You schedule walks, you schedule breaks, you even schedule joy. Why? Because energy is not a fire you burn until it's gone. It's a resource you manage. Here's a little secret. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Balance is . And balance doesn't happen by luck, it happens by design. So here's what I recommend. Every Sunday night, when you plan your week, don't just ask, what do I need to do? Ask, what do I need to protect? Build in buffers between meetings. Block off an hour just to think. Plan one night with absolutely nothing on the schedule. Guard your mornings like gold. And yes, schedule joy, because let me tell you this, a burned out you is not a productive you. A scattered you is not a strategic you. A tired mind can't create, it can't connect, it can't lead, but a rested, prepared, and intentional you. That's a force to be reckoned with. Let me share this. With you, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And the best way to do that, plan your week with margin, with meaning, and with mastery. Because when you protect your energy, you're protecting your creativity. You're protecting your relationships, and ultimately, you're protecting your mission. Plan to protect, plan to renew, plan to endure. Now let's talk about the most powerful meeting you'll ever attend. It's not held in a boardroom. It doesn't require a team. It doesn't need a formal agenda. It happens on Sunday night. Just you, your thoughts, your calendar, and your future. Sunday night isn't the end of the weekend. It's the launch pad for the week ahead. It's your chance to take control before the world pulls you in 100 directions. I call it what it truly is, the most important meeting of the week. Why is it so powerful? Because it's the only meeting where you set the agenda, where you choose what matters, where you reclaim your time before the noise of the world steals it away. While most people stumble into Monday in a fog, rushing, guessing, scrambling through emails and expectations, achievers arrive with clarity because they already had the meeting that mattered most on Sunday night. So, what makes this moment so impactful? First, Sunday night slows you down. It pulls you out of the whirlwind. It gives you space to reflect, review, and reset. You ask yourself, what worked last week? What didn't? Where did my time go? And how do I want the next week to feel? Because the goal isn't to fill a calendar, it's to build. A life. Second, Sunday night brings clarity. This is where you make decisions before the chaos begins. You decide what you will do and what you will not do. There is real power in pre-deciding. When you say, this is my direction, these are my priorities, this is what I'm committed to, pressure melts into peace, confusion becomes confidence, and a decent week becomes a great one. Now, here's what most people miss. If you wait until Monday morning to plan your week, you're already behind. Urgency will always beat importance. Other people's demands will drown out your best intentions. But Sunday night, that's your quiet time, your protected space, where vision gets a voice. So here's what I recommend. Block 30 minutes every Sunday night for yourself. Not for Netflix, not for scrolling, for strategy. Sit down with your planner. Look at the days ahead. Write down your top 3 goals. Block your most important time. Schedule your rest. Make space for growth. Decide what matters and give it a place. Make it a ritual. Light a candle. Play some music. Grab a favorite notebook. Turn this moment into something sacred. Because when you treat planning time with respect, your life begins to reflect that same sense of order. And remember this, you don't need a perfect plan. You just need a plan you're willing to follow. And if you check in every Sunday night, week after week, you'll start to see your life take shape, exactly the way you imagined. Let's be honest, there are 2 versions of every person. The version that reacts to the week and the version that leads the week, the one who wins. That's the one who never misses their Sunday night appointment. So I leave you with this. Don't begin the week until it's finished on paper. Don't wait for the week to tell you what to do. You tell the week who's in charge. Make Sunday night your power hour, and the rest of your week will thank you for it, because that quiet, personal meeting with yourself, it's not just planning, it's leadership, it's ownership, it's success in motion.